Hey, welcome back. Design Elements and Principles. Hope everybody's doing well today. Let's jump on in. Here's some good news. We have this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Friday starts spring break. So get ready for it. Don't fall too far behind. All right, let's get into things today. Today we're going to talk about emphasis as one of the principles of design. First, we make sure we always do our attendance. We start the attempt, we hit continue. And what does white space do in a layout? White space improves readability and focus. There we go. You got the first one. One is free. We'll go over the emphasis lecture. Of course, every session, there's a mid-session project review in which we'll look over your projects and say, hey, you're doing good. This is great. Switch this, change this. This is the perfect way to get a better grade. That's what we do with that. And Tuesday's assignments, that's today, Tuesday, we'll go over the emphasis and focal point research projects, which you'll be using in design. And we'll go over the graphic designs emphasis project. So, and that is a little bit different. You have to maybe pay attention to that one. So let's jump on in and talk about emphasis and how it works and how it's good in graphic design. I'm going to switch over here. Let's click on down. As we switch over, there's always an error. Let's get that fixed. Something happens when I hit record, it switches something on the system. And it's still not doing it right. There you go. Now stay. It's funny because I use this, and then as soon as I hit record, something switches and it changes my viewpoint. All right. Focal point. It's just what we think about. It is a focal point. It's a point of focus. And so when we talk about that, we always want to emphasize something. The big thing is think about if we were to talk in a certain way. We always make fun of the old robot talking. The old robot, we used to have it talk like this, where there was no emphasis into, and and so it just droned on. And so there's no emphasis. Now think about when you're hanging out with friends and family, and you're happy, your voice goes up. You're sad, it might go down. You're angry, it gets louder and shouty. So we emphasize the way we talk, or when we tell a story, we raise it up and get excited at the end. So there's emphasis, and we use it every day. You don't even know about it. It's just in the way we talk every day. But we also have to bring that into design. And the way that we bring that into design is, what is the most important thing on that page? People aren't hearing my message. They're reading it. They're looking at it. You don't even have to read it. We could have a non-verbal design that has emphasis in it. And the emphasis is this is the part I want you to really, really look at. And then everything else a little bit less. So that's the main point. And this goes into hierarchy. Hierarchy is what is most important, second important, third important, least important. And so we always think about that. Not everything can be the most important thing on the page, even though your client may say that that's what they want. It just doesn't work. We hide stuff, we make stuff smaller. What's the big deal of the day? What do we want to emphasize? So that's the big one. And it doesn't come, there's a billion ways to do it. There's 1,000 different ways to emphasize something, giving prominence, importance to certain elements. It creates that focal point. It can be done through I will say it can be done through any of the elements of design. In some way, shape, or form, we can use one of those. Just off the bat, I was okay, the very first thing we use is line. But if I do a line with another line attached, and a line with another line attached, and we do our little, I don't know why I decided to do this. There's the eyeball. Where are you supposed to look? Well, the arrows, these lines are showing you to look at the eyeball looking at you. So that's what we do. You can use any of them. If we have a shape, and a shape, like, which is the most important shape? Well, it's going to be the biggest shape. So all those kind of go along with that. How do we use it? You can use it, color, contrast, size, shape, any of them. Even position, like the position on the page. And we'll talk about that when I show you the examples. Focal point, geometric shapes, precise and regular shapes like circles. A focal point is a specific area or element within the composition. We're gonna fix that, eh? That's really, it attracts the attention. So if we do, back in the old days, they used to do this on everything. Oh, that was horrible. And it'd be like 99 cents. It'd be like this big burst. We call them a starburst. I don't know why I couldn't draw that starburst right now, but it'd be a starburst. And it'd be like 99 cents. And that was supposed to draw your attention. It would be the entire cereal box or whatever. And then the biggest thing on there would be like free prize inside. And that's a focal point. We're adding a shape, like a circle, precise and regular shapes, like circles. And so that's what we have there. A well-defined focal point helps organize the visual hierarchy. And that's what I was talking about earlier. We want people to know what they're supposed to read first. We want people to know what they're supposed to read second. And then so that's up to us. And it's a good one. This is for your posters. This is poster thought. This is pamphlet thought. And it's a big one on the posters. It's like, what's the most important thing on the poster? Well, I'll tell you, the most important thing on your poster is probably the logo for the concert series. We want people to know right away, that that's the most important thing. So in just a generic form, like we would put like up here, as big as possible, the logo, right? Why is the logo? This is at the top. When here in our Western countries, we read top to bottom, left to right. So our eye always starts in this corner. And if we have the logo right there, boom, we're set. Then it would be like, for me, it'd probably be the dates. And I put that underneath the logo, right? Because we know what it is, but when is it? And then third most important would probably be the headliners. Then the images of the event, and finally the paragraph. And that way I want it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's my order of importance for hierarchy to create. Where's the focal point? The focal point is the logo. Key considerations for emphasis of focal point: contrast. Contrasting elements are more likely to become focal points. So like depending if I do black and white, sorry, I was trying to think of the example before I stopped reading. If we do black and white, like what's more important? If we do, a black background with yellow and then some things in darker colors, they're going to be harder or easier to read. So we got some great examples I'll show you. Isolation. That's a great way to do it. And it's hard for us as beginning designers to do that, to just have like one thing just kind of on its own in the middle of the page. And we're like, oh no, I need to fill the page. It's like one thing that we have to work on getting over right away as young designers is filling the entire page up and thinking of it more of sectioning it. But you can isolate something and just have it all on its own. We got, again, all these will be talked about. Placement, where do we place stuff? Again, I just talked about that down here as we read, but this is the most generic way to do it. This is your first try to do it. Like we can come up with like awesome stuff where I could have the logo at the bottom, even though that's the focal point, and then like stuff up here, knowing that we're going to end here. So that's placement placement works with everything else, and it's not going to work unless all the parts and pieces work together with that placement. So if it's too busy up here and I have the logo at the bottom, it might get lost because it's the last thing we're going to run into. But if I keep things simple and good and then just kind of close with that logo, it's like you kind of like you end knowing like, oh yeah, okay, now I know more about this one thing. So that's about placement. Colored intensity, of course, bright colors, high contrast. That's why we do that. Excuse me. That's why I do the, think about the barriers, the police barriers, police crime tape, yellow and black crime tape. We see it, or red and black tape. Like it's something we like. Oh, no, don't go there. We know it. It's colored intensity. We're shocked when we see it. It means don't go do that. Scale. The bigger it is, the more important it is. The smaller it is, the less important it is. Right? If we do everything the same size, then what are we emphasizing? That's probably why, and I'm surmising here, I'm making stuff up, it's probably why when you do Instagram or like all of those sites that you can include a photo, they're all the same size. Nobody gets to pick a bigger size or a smaller size. And here's the other reason why. Everybody would just pick the biggest size, right? Nobody would be like, oh, I'm just going to do a small little image today. No, everybody would just do the same size. Plus, it makes programming a hell of a lot easier. Repetition and page breaks. Breaking a pattern or introducing an element that deviates from a repetition can create emphasis. That's called an anomaly. I love that word, anomaly. I remember that word has stuck with me since I was in college. Teacher taught it in the same style of class. We did a pattern project. I remember it. I remember hearing anomaly, and I thought, what a weird word. And it just has always stuck with me. An anomaly is like the best way to kind of like talk about it is if I have like a bunch of squares. All right. It is supposed to be like a grid. And then in that grid, there's like one circle. That was supposed to be a circle. Or even better, this is a better one. There. And now there was a pattern, there's a grid, but then there's this yellow circle in the middle of it. Like we're going to concentrate on that yellow circle. We see the pattern, but we're like, what's up with that yellow circle? So that's creating an anomaly. And that anomaly is something different within the pattern. I think that we use that word a lot in tech and other items as well. Let's look at some amazing imagery. I love this one. Absolutely love this. It's so great. It's so weird. It's so much fun. Emphasis and focal point. Done in so many ways. One, isolation, right? We have a single model standing. Done. Isolation. We have the name, rider, right? It's the rider. Perfect. And then finally, isolation. Orange dot. Transparent. How you can't get any more in your face. And the fact that it's like it's perfectly like at that viewing point. It's amazing. And it looks good. They did this duotone, and then they added the orange, which warms her up. Like here, if you look at her hands, they're like kind of cold because they have this blue toning on them. But like then they put the orange over the face and it warms it up just on her face. And then the other part that it's going after, hold on, I'm going to be doing a lot of erasing here. I get so excited about this one. And then it's the blazer. We're talking about the blazer. And so like the blazer is outlined mostly in that circle. I love that. Like then we have these lines, which is look from here. I wanted you to stop looking here, and now I want you to look here. And then we have this weird thing, and it is like blazer. And I love this ending on it because it almost just leads you out, but it also leads you to Blazer back to her feet. And then you're like, oh, back up to the model again. Super cool. All about emphasis and focal point. They did it in like 5 different ways, and it just worked out great. And it's simple. Like this is like when we do things, we need to think about. And I'm gonna work on a piece for. I want to advertise something for you all, like a work schedule. Like come in and work with me in person on this day and that day, whatever it may be. And I want to do it. And I'm like, how do I do it? How am I going to create a design that attracts attention and blah, blah, blah. And of course I'm thinking about me, but I always reference in my mind, like, what have other people done? How are other people getting attention? And like, what would be, how would that work? So you always think about that. Like somebody could think about this for their poster design. Here, the world of foot. It doesn't get any more in your face than this. So what do we have? We have isolation. We have the center focal point, right? So two killer ones right there. Then we have a drawing around the guy. So we're basically circling him, right? Pretty rad. And then just think of all of these as arrows. That's what they are. So that does like we're just like pointing at them. All these ones are just pointing at them. So like, what a great way. We're having a seminar featuring Mr. Foot, and we're just pointing him out. How great is that? And it's fun, and then of course we know the focal point, but then we can get lost in all this beauty here. Read everything. What do we recognize? What do we know? I don't know anything about this dude. But yeah, I don't know anything about it. But there we go. And then we look at the line weight. So look at his thick line weight around this circle, right? Whereas the next thickest is right here. And then everything else is really light. It's less important. Most important, second important, third important, fourth important. Like they knew what they were doing. It was like it was done by a professional. So this is pretty rad. I love it, love it, love it. How simple do we want to get? Know what I'm saying? Let's go simple. Done and done. I want a dark background, and I want it just to say build something. Nothing else on there. What's the message? Build something. You know what I mean? Like it's like encouragement. We're going to almost make it black. We want to show people that are working on something and just really big. Build something. We have something else amazing going on. We're working in threes with our emphasis color. So we have 1 orange, 2 orange, 3 orange. I love working in threes. I try to do it a lot. It's a conscious thought I put into my designs. Like, oh, if I have something here and I have something here, can I include it in over here as well? Something like that. I do that a lot. Here's the weird part. Now, I've been using this slide, which I don't necessarily love, but it just shows emphasis in a different point. And this summer, I'm going to probably try to change out some of these just for my entertainment purposes. But can you see that? Like, I never noticed this until like I was in the fall. It didn't really show up. It wasn't really showing up when I was watching this. And then there's that weird, like, did somebody purposely do this thing in this guy's face, like to make it look like he had laser beams coming out of his eyes? Kind of funny, hey? But look at that. But just say, like, really calm. What's the right here? That's the focal point, right? And then if we are looking at sizing, see our work is bigger than up here. So they're like, build something. See our work. Ah, gorgeous piece. What's the focal point? What's the emphasis on this one? I don't know. Is it about women? Is it about love? What is it about? Well, of course we know. Of course. Little heart, beautiful red lips, tells a story. Everything goes with it. We have the logo, and look at this color. Color here, color here, color here. Working in threes. This is the biggest emphasis. This is just a visual cue, as we call it, just a visual. Then we have this one, and reverse lettering on a dark background always like will be a little bit, it'll pop a little bit more. So that's really rad. And then we just go for here, you know, and this follows the beautiful shape of the heart lips. And then what do we need to know? And what's the hierarchy of the type? What's the emphasis of the type? Most, second, third, fourth, you know, fifth, sixth. And it just goes in size, and it goes in boldness. All the way at the bottom. That's the other stuff. You know, like I want to get you excited at the top. Down at the bottom, that's where we got the other stuff. Just beautiful, just beautiful. Oh, I keep this one in here. All right, focal point in like 800 ways, and then hidden messages as well. All right. The story revolves around one person. How did they make the focal point contrast? Dark figure, light background. This could be kind of termed as the second character, first character, second character. So there, the contrast, right? We have absolute contrast right there. That's what we're seeing first. Second, we have like this X, right? So we're pulling you in. X marks the spot. We want you to see the central characters. The other thing is, if you haven't noticed, is we have contrast with text. Light text on a dark background, dark text on a light background. Here they swap that every second, and then they did reverse. So they're reversing the text, so the text reads nice and clear. They made sure of it, and the darkest text, again, is on the lightest background, and this darkest text matches that color. Like I'm saying, emphasis and focal point on everywhere. Then the final one is this is 127 hours. Every second counts. Do you guys know what this is? If I fill this up and then I have it stream down and it makes a pile of sand, it's an hourglass. It's a hidden hourglass. Look at that. So every second counts. The sand is going through the hourglass. James Franco. Yes. I have vague memory of this movie. I don't see the year on it or the year that I can read. I just remember not. I was like, oh, yeah, the guy gets stuck. He has to cut off his arm and he survives, which is amazing. I don't know if I really need to see a movie about it. That's just me, though. All right. Cool. Let me know if you have questions on emphasis and focal point. And let's move on. Let's do some design work. Got two designs. Today is Tuesday, double design day. First design is we are going to do our book cover, movie, post movie, and album cover, and we are going to do it in the program InDesign. I'm going to slide this to the side here. I'm going to pop open my InDesign, and I'm going to read from my InDesign. I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to create a print document, which you can just keep. You don't have to hit print. I never really do, but we want it to be 16 inches wide by 9 inches tall, right? 16 by 9, that's the size of our screens. We want to make sure we don't have any facing pages. Make sure that is not clicked. We are fine with everything else. Fine, fine, fine. We want a 1/2 inch 0.5. And if I hit tab on my keyboard, it changes all those. And if I hit, for the bleed, I hit 0.5 and I hit tab and it changes all those. All I need to do is hit create. And we got our setup. In my layers panel, make sure you have a layers panel, and I'm going to hit double click on title. I'm going to type it title. Now, if you've never, you're like, Joel, I've never used InDesign before. Well, just follow along. And it's exactly the same as Illustrator, and it's just like layers in Photoshop. So you have to be probably taking something out. If you are not, please reach out to me, and I will gladly give you tutoring on how to do this. So we have our background, our title, and images. I always like title at the top. What did I do last time for the background? People have been finding some fantastic backgrounds. Sorry, that was all weird and wonky. You can do whatever you want. You can create a background. You can create a background in Illustrator, bring it into InDesign. You could copy and paste that stuff in. You can do whatever you want. You just create a box. But remember, when we do this, and we create that color box, we go all the way to the bleed. We don't just do the artboard. We have to go past the artboard. It's our sloppy gray area. So just please always make sure. If you do not, you will hear about it from me. And then we'll do a fill. I always do yellow. Let's do, I'm going to just go to a custom color. Let's do this again. I want like, yeah. Yeah, that'd be good. And here's something to show you. If you want more than one page, InDesign's the easy one to do that. InDesign just allows you to grab this page. And so when I say grab it, you click and drag it, and you drag it down to that plus. See where my hand is about to cover a plus? And it'll just make a second page exactly the same. So that's pretty rad in itself. And that allows you then to do the title on one page. And so I'm going to click on my margin, and I'm going to draw a big old text box. I made it the size of the margin. And then this is design principles emphasis and all right, so I'm going to grab that, and I try to never use the default font. I will use something new, and I'm just going to go right to the middle and find something. Ping Fang. I kind of like it. Semi-bold. And let's go up to 72 point. So kind of, it's like almost weird. So I hit a return, right? And the gap, the space in between these is too much for me. So I'm going to bring it in. And then now that I have that, I'm going to make my text box smaller. Always reduce the text box. Like here, it doesn't matter the width, but it's clean design work is what it's called. And like, don't leave like, you know, if things are overlapping, it becomes very hard to work on them. You keep it where you need to keep it, and then clean it up. It's staying clean. And my name is Joel. And I don't want that big. So this just goes down to like 24 point. And I'm going to bring it down. There we go. All right. So that was my page one. And then if, oh, look at that. So I was designing on page two by mistake, but all I have to do is swip them. Move one. I can reverse the order. So that's one, and now page two. I'm going to make 3 text boxes. Go to layers, title. And this is book cover. And then now I'm going to double click on this, go to ping. You know, I'm going to go ultra light. Let's go like something totally different. All right, and I'm going to lower this. And then I'm just going to slide one over. I'm hold shift and option, or I believe it's shift and alt, and just slide one over. Slide one over for yourself. Book cover, we'll do L. Cover, slide one over. And then movie poster. All right, and I'm going to drag this out. And I'm going to drag it back. All right. And I'm going to move this one over here for now. And I'm going to readjust those in a minute. And then let's go get some images, right? All right. Book covers. Let's see if I get one that's really good for emphasis of focal point. Got a lot of ads coming through. Haven't seen a single image yet. There we go. No. No. No, this, look at that. I'm going to save image as. Call it book. I'm going to save it where I know where it is. And then I'll do album. Wait, is everybody, is this a joke? That's hilarious. That got written up as a good, like, I get it. I'm going to do this one. It's like at 2 focal points. All right. I'll have to convert that one. And then movie. Oh, that first one looked good. I saw a little preview. I mean, it's kind of funny. It's pretty good. I was gonna do this one, but I don't know. Well, look at that. I teach how to do that in Photoshop. I should save that. All right, so I got to convert some images, which is easy to do in Photoshop. So really quickly, I'm going to open up Photoshop, and I have an AVIF and a WEBP. And I'm just going to open them and file export them as JPEG. So file, open. I'm going to go to my desktop. And I'm going to get this. And if I hold down Control, I can also, or is it Command? I can click on ones away from each other. Instead of like Shift will click one and then a group but if you hold Command and I forget what it is on a PC, you can click individual ones. Makes life a little bit easier. And then all I'm going to do is go File, Export, Export as. It's set up as JPEG. I'm just going to hit Export. It's a little small. 600 by 600. File, Export, Export as. JPEG. This one's small too. I didn't do my normal look for large. I jumped on in. Hopefully these don't look like crud when I place them. And then on my desktop, I know you can't see that. I'm throwing away the 2 items I don't need to keep things clean. Like, well, why would you do that? Well, because then I'm not going to mistakenly grab them. So that allows me to grab all 3 at once. File, place, 1, and then this is where I'm going to hold Command 2 and 3. Open. Book cover, album cover, movie poster. Well, these are pretty big enough. Now I'm going to grab all of them at once. And for this one, I'm just going to go down to 50% in size, just to help me start arranging and working them. How do I want them arranged? Do I want them all centered? These 2 are both tall. They should be the exact same height, right? So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to use this free transform tool, or you can hit the E on the keyboard. If you ever want to know more, just ask. I know you're like, I don't really use InDesign. InDesign isn't anything to be scared of. It used to be, people used to be scared of it, not anymore. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to line these up, and I'm going to use the computer. Like, look at that. See all those green lines that are showing up? That's telling me everything's perfect right there. I'm going to let go. And then I'm going to grab all 3 of these, and only does it work with the free transform tool that I'm going to make them from margin to margin. And then the other thing that's allowing me to do is know that everything's going to look great. And I'm going to set it up with the margin here. And then I got to figure out what I want to do. So I want to make sure all of my text is correct. So I'm going to go back to my titles, and I'm going to center them this time. I don't usually center, but I'm just going to pull in each one right away. I'm going to pull it until those green lines show up. So it's the exact width of the poster, of the image, right? So each one of these text boxes is the exact size of the, and if I leave it as is, they are lined up perfectly on this edge. But I'm just going to grab all 3, and I should be able to automatically, go down, and in my paragraph, just hit centered. Now all these are perfectly centered. Now one other thing I'm going to do that I'm not digging, they're really far away, and I'm just going to move them up. I'm going to move them up. You can have a big gap at the bottom. So it's a less gap at the top, bigger gap at the bottom. And there we go. So then I go to File, and then I can go to, then I save it, my version, save as, and I'll save, and this is, JSKAJA, J underscore focal emphasis. Boy, oh boy. Emphasis. All right, so I save that, and then I go to File, Export, and I'm going to export as a PDF for print. I'm going to hit Save, and you can do smallest file size. Let me double check what the assignment says. Smallest file size, view PDF after exporting, marks and bleeds, nothing is, and I hit export, and then boom, there I am, right? You get to see your beautiful piece of work. Done. All right. If you have any questions, always ask. I can't answer questions if you don't ask them. So if you're ever like, I don't know, I didn't know how to do that. If you tell me that after the fact, I'll be like, well, why didn't you ask? Right? Why didn't you ask? It's always the big question. All right, so finally, the project. A little bit different. And I'm going to stay on this page for a while. I'm going to show you, I want to talk about the first one, and I'm going to show you how to do the spot color in the second one. This is the one we've been doing spot colors now. This will be our third attempt at them for a spot color, but I'll get to that. First one is this page right here. Let me zoom in. The first one, you're going to be using typography, all right? And I want you to make these words as you would say them. Emphasis and focal point. When I talk, I use a lot of emphasis in words, and we do it. It's how you enunciate. And again, it's the robot speak. If I were to talk like this and just say hierarchy, typography, and alignment, like that's it. But I say hierarchy, and I have a stronger push on the word hierarchy. And when I say typography, I go typography. And when I say alignment, which is really hard, alignment. Like they're almost the same. Like where do I emphasize more? You know, like, and so what I want you to do is get these words to look like how you say them. So if I was an alien from another planet learning how to speak our language and emphasize, that I would know how to emphasize, where to say hierarchy and not say hierarchy. And you'll be like, why are you talking like a weirdo? And be like, well, I didn't know how to emphasize that. So that's the first one. So that is what you are supposed to do. My example uses the word emphasis because I didn't want to, do the assignment for you. So keep that in mind. So that is what I want you to do. So you have the three words. Hierarchy, typography, and alignment. Oh, now I say it. Now when I say it, I know how to do that one. You're going to need to say them a couple of times. Say them with your friends. Say them with your family. Make a game out of it. Illustrator struggling to open. There we go. So my example here was emphasis, right? And I just had some fun with some crazy fonts. Emphasis. That's how I say it. Emphasis. So your word is hierarchy, typography, and alignment. How do you say it? Where do you emphasize the word? And that's what I want you to do with these. Type them out, say them a couple times, be like, okay, I say this part louder than this part. Look it up in the dictionary if you're like, oh, I don't know how to do this at all. Well, look it up in the dictionary then. Figure that out. Double check these. I'm gonna do a crap ass job on changing those and checking your items there. And then the composition. Focal point, emphasis, drawing the eye, leading the eye, moving the eye. Let's do it. Let's part 2. Create 3 monochromatic compositions that draw the eye from the large dot, number 1, to the small dot, number 2. Each composition must move the eye in a different original way. So all you're doing is you're guiding. You're just saying, I want you to look here first and here second. You can do that with imagery, shape, size, line. Think of every one of our design elements. We learned about 7 of them. There's 7 different ways, minimum, that you could do this project. And you must use a single spot color. You could use 3 different spot colors, but 3 of them. So here, I have people coming in, and your eye goes around this corner to the smaller one and off the page, right? That's how I did it. And I did it with a spot color. How do we create a spot color, Joel? Well, here's how you do it. You go on your artwork and just create a square. We're going to turn off the stroke because the stroke is always on and we always want that off. Then we're going to pick a color. So I'm going to go to the color picker and I'm going to go to, well, let's go here. Just pick a color, then go there. And then I'm going to mix and match my own colors, right? Let's go like a weird, like, no, like I usually hate adding black. Oh, let's do that. And then add there, like a really deep, weird green. All right. I mixed the color. I like it. Don't stop here. We got to keep going. I'm going to click on this. Now I'm going to click on the swatches, right? Then I'm going to click on this plus. And I'm going to call it like deep green. And I want to switch it from a process color to a spot color. And I'm going to hit OK. And when I do that, look right there. I have that deep green as a spot color, which means when I draw another box and I go to this, and then I go to this, the palette here, I can make it the exact lighter color of that color, mathematically lighter. You must use spot colors. You must learn how to do this. You do this in the future when you're designing. The more you know now, the better you'll be in the future when you're creating logos for other projects. And you can be like, I did a spot color for that logo because later on I wanted to use a lighter version of that color somewhere else in the design. And I didn't have to like futz around. I didn't have to guess. It was already a spot color. And then these two are the same. It's the same color, but they're just different tones of each other. So like that. And again, if I bring that one down, it is still the spot color. It's not a different spot color. It is a tint of this spot color. Pretty amazing. And make a design. Make a fun design. So here we want to go from 1 to 2, 1 to 2, 1 to 2. Please let me know if you have any questions. Please let me know if you need any help. I will be, I think, after spring break, probably for like the last 4 weeks, having some open free work time with me. You'll get a little email about it if you check your email. All right. That's it. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for everything. Take care. See you on Thursday. All right. Bye-bye.